Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Week 13 edition of Thinking About DFS. Thanksgiving is over. You have eaten your fill. Actually, for Jacob and I, it's not done. To take you guys inside baseball, we are actually recording this on the morning of Thanksgiving, but we needed to make sure to keep everything on schedule. It's a beautiful slate. We actually have cheap running backs to play for maybe the first time all year. Really looking forward to that. Let's get into how to win in Week 13. It's Short King Summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich, football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense looks constipated. It's Short King Summer. All right, Jacob. It is it's the strangest week really for people who live our very specific lifestyle, you know, where basically week 13 is bifurcated into two slates, right? The Thanksgiving thing is like, it's like adding an extra week basically with the amount of action out there. And then the main slate on Sunday sort of becomes a little bit of an afterthought until you get there. So we are very excited. How did week 12 go for you? Anything good? Anything particularly bad?
Week 12 was pretty mediocre. Of course, I played the Brian Robinson shock. Of course, Brian Robinson immediately got hurt. That was tilting. I leaned into playing Marvin Harrison Jr. Despite Sam Sherman's protestations, and that went about as well as it's gone literally the entire year. It wasn't a great week for me in week 12, but excited for the week 13 Thanksgiving slate. For those listening to this podcast after Thanksgiving, I've just celebrated a 32-point Dontavian Wicks performance on the frozen tundra. LOL, I'm sad because he just scored 2.8 points with 4 drops. I don't know, one of those two. We'll see.
Definitely there's no way he has a very normal 4 for 64 game, right? That is the only thing that is impossible. And if he does have a very normal 4 for 64 game, I guess we take it. So just as we get into this slate, I ran a quick set of sims before we began. And the thing that you will notice if you are just getting to this slate for the first time, you can actually kind of play whoever you want. There are salary relief options at every position, including quarterback, including running back, including wide receiver, including tight end, which is very bizarre. It's both a complication of injuries, no bye weeks, some of the crappy teams playing on Thanksgiving and on Friday. So we're feeling pretty good about that. Our first game, we have the Los Angeles Chargers having to play at the Atlanta Falcons. This is kind of the game of the slate to figure out, actually, because one Mr. I believe his name is Jakarian, J.K. Dobbins. He is out. He will not be playing in this game. Jacalyn.
Or is that DK Metcalf? Let me see.
I'm almost certain that is right, but
no, it is Jacalyn. Yes.
So you look at the projections here, and you see Gus Edwards projected for 10.6. That feels reasonable, but Kamani Vidal is projected for 5.8. That feels a smidgen high. I think basically the way Gus Edwards should project in this game, Jacob, is J.K. Dobbins minus whatever you're giving him for receiving work. Whatever receiving points Leone and Cardi and our friends were giving him, I think you just eliminate those and you give them to Edwards. Gus Edwards is $4,300. And also, our friend, what does Herbert have to do to get a price increase on DraftKings? They jack everyone up, but I mean he looks like the best points per dollar play at quarterback.
Would you care to guess how many snaps Gus Edwards played on Monday night?
42% of the snaps.
So I didn't even have the percentage up. I just had the raw snaps, but he played 16 of 69 snaps. Hassan Haskins played twice as many snaps as Gus Edwards played. Obviously, there was negative game script on Monday night, which is why that was the case. And for most of the time that they were leading, they had J.K. Dobbins available. But that is the difference. The big difference between Gus and Dobbins is if they get behind, Gus is not going to be part of the game plan, and it'll be I don't know exactly what the breakdown will be between Haskins and Vidal, but like they seemed comfortable playing Vidal in passing situations
They
on
did.
occasion with J.K. Dobbins. So I suspect that he will be preferred in that role over Hassan Haskins. And it's not really that hard for me to envision Vidal leading this team in routes, leading this team in snaps, next to Gus Edwards. I still think Gus Edwards is going to lead in touches. I think he's going to be the first option at the goal line. But I would say like Gus Edwards is the exact kind of player that I want to be fading at ownership on a slate like this at 4.3K, because all you need to do is basically just hope he doesn't score a touchdown. Hope he doesn't score 2 touchdowns. Even if
Haskins,
even if he has and he has no efficiency upside, like even if he has 50 yards and 1 touchdown, like okay, he hits at his price, but is 11 raw points getting you anywhere? Probably not.
I guess it depends, right? It depends on what shakes out with the rest of the value. Like his salary could be needed, like 11 points at 4,300.
Could be.
As I mentioned, there are other cheap plays on this slate that are available. So it's I wouldn't say it's not. I wouldn't say he necessarily is like a lock or anything like that. I mean, he probably is going to make cash game teams and stuff. I would probably lean on him being, a not particularly great cash play. Whereas on the other side, I mean, we got Bijan. We have, Ladd is 6.1. Mooney is questionable with this. I believe it's a hamstring. Sounds like it's like a legitimate questionable. Like he might actually not go, which would make McLeod at 4.3. And
it's interesting.
We haven't mentioned in a long time, Kyle Pitts. I think both of those guys would be legitimately in play.
Yeah, I would play Kyle Pitts with Darnell Mooney for sure. You might actually see like 2 first-read targets.
Incredible.
And I think London obviously becomes a good play too. London's always a good play.
Yeah.
But I think with the Falcons and then Bijan, I'm going to make Bijan a big part of the plans for sure. I think I want to try and invert the build a little bit, work past some of these cheap running backs. And I know Bijan is going to have plenty of ownership, obviously, but I think Bijan in combination with some of these other more expensive running backs might not be quite as high owned. And definitely that's going to be something I'm going to try to do.
And speaking of first read target share, I mean, Will Dissly, man, the Dissly dog, like Hayden Hurst is on IR. Not that Hayden Hurst was even playing anyway, but like, yeah, Dissly, that dude, $4,000 Will Dissly. I mean, who would have converted defensive linemen? And then Ladd,
on our Tuesday show, we have like this game. You have to pick a start of the week every week, and it's like a running back outside the top 15, quarterback outside the top 15, wide receiver out of the top 30, tight end out of the top 12. And I log in last to the show sheet. I see Sam Laporta sitting at tight end 16 in the weekly Fantasy Pros rankings. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. And then I see like nobody's picked him yet. And I'm like, oh, I should pick him. And then I look right above him and I see Will Dissly. And I'm like, man, what a world. Like people, I would rather play Will Dissly than Sam Laporta. And then I think about it for another second. I'm like, I'd rather play Will Dissly than Sam Laporta. And then I was like, I'm going to pick Will Dissly. I'm not picking Sam Laporta. Crazy world.
Yeah. No, look, Will Dissly is like dunked on Sam Laporta every single week of the season. All right. I mean, this game is going to kind of be the bonanza game, right? You get this game right, you work your late swaps from there. Like it's, I believe it's the highest total of the week. These are 2 positive PROE teams over the last month of the season. Yada yada. You guys get it. I mean, I would say Cousins at like no ownership at all. Kind of interesting if you think the Chargers can really pull away in this one, just because like, I mean, we've actually seen it multiple times this year where Cousins was quite literally the guy that you needed. You needed Cousins doubles. Like, so yeah. I don't hate it. Let's move on now to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is not for the Steelers, but for the Bengals. This is a playoff game. They lose this game, it's basically done for them. They win this game, they are drawing very live for the playoffs.
Yeah.
What on earth is this Chase Brown price? What is this? $6,200 DraftKings dollars for a player who has given up.
Why is the PO not 98?
Why Chase Brown has not given up a touch since Zach Moss got injured, because technically Khalil Herbert's fumble did not count as a rush.
Correct.
Even if you give Khalil Herbert 4 rushes and 2 targets in this game. Chase Brown is still the best play of the slate at 6,200. I mean, that is I will have Chase Brown on every team the same way I had Kareem Hunt on every team last week or whatever.
Yeah, this is a classic case of Thursday ownership projections, because for our audio listeners, we're staring at a screen that has him at 16% projected ownership. I will eat my shorts if that is his actual ownership when we log in on Sunday afternoon at 6,200. Yeah, he should be like a 7.8K running back.
And 20% owned at that salary
from Bijan Robinson. Yeah.
Yeah.
If his ownership is projecting anything under like 30, anything under 40, come this week, lock button on Chase Brown, and it would be a gift if any of the ownership gets taken away from him based on the Gus Edwardses, the Braylon Allens of the world. So pretty excited to play him. You can bring him back if you want. The Bengals defense does suck. So if there is a week for George Pickens to actually do some stuff and not just put up air yard share, this would be probably the week for it. And that's probably the one that's obviously the only Steeler I'm like particularly excited to play. If the Chase Brown ownership does get out of control, even in this matchup against the Steelers, I could definitely talk myself into the Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase or T. Higgins as the counter off of that, because we've seen
you could talk me
be absolutely incredible.
You could talk me into Burrow, Brown, Chase being the best
Easy
grouping of players in the entire slate. I mean, I know I am as YouTube commenters have pointed out, I am sort of prone to hyperbole in general, but like the Bengals actually cannot lose this game. If they lose this game, I saw someone post it the other day. Their playoff probability gets chopped by like 95%. But if they win this game, they take a game away from the Steelers,
and they play the Broncos later.
And they play the Broncos in week 17. Like they're drawing, but they have got to win this game. What do you do when you have to win a game? Like, I mean, I think Zach Taylor basically said it as, he basically said at his press conference the other day, they were like, oh, how can we rest Chase Brown a little bit? And he said, well, ideally it would be nice. It would be nice to rest him, but like, we got to win these games. He was like, yeah, Travion Williams, buddy, thanks for coming out, but we got to win these games. So
it's like someone saying like, how do you start a diet, but it's Thanksgiving? It's like, well, I'd like to start a diet, but the stuffing is right there and it looks fucking delicious and I'm going to eat it. Like,
Chase Brown is the pecan pie. He's the pecan. Your diet starts tomorrow, brother. Yeah, we'll manage Chase Brown's reps at practice, but we're not doing it here in this game. Najee and Warren, honestly, it's just like
don't care.
Conceptually, they're fine, but it's like too good of a slate, I think, to get there. Maybe Najee. I don't know. Anytime, like the projections have been very bullish on Najee. He does get a lot of work. I'll never forget his one efficiency game. The one Najee that he had 3 straight 100-yard games. Yeah. No, it was insane. Okay. The Houston Texans with a 24-point team total against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are expecting one Mr. T. Lawrence back in this game. But man, are the Houston Texans playing just depressing football, dude. Like what? CJ Stroud is 23rd in the NFL in EPA per play. Not good.
It's not been good. PFF Bobby. When's the last time we've seen a offensive play caller suffer such a Austin Smart Tressman? Have we seen an offensive play caller suffer such a immediate blowback of reputation?
Kellen Moore.
Yeah, maybe Kellen Moore. But I think Kellen Moore is back on the upswing now. It's not looking good for PFF Bobby. It is still looking good for Nico Collins, although it'd be nice if they stopped calling all of his touchdowns back for illegal formation penalties. That would really be good for me. It's always good for Joe Mixon, who continues to succeed no matter what. I think, I don't know. Do you have the heart to play a CJ Stroud stack against the Jacksonville Football Jaguars?
I don't think the stack, just because CJ Stroud, like
Collins alone.
Yeah, just Collins alone. I think you can get away with Dell alone. Dell, his price is now diminished. Like he looks terrible, but
That's your Jalen Waddle is Tank Dell.
Yes, no, that's actually such a good comp. Tank Dell is so my Jalen Waddle. The point I would make actually on the Jaguars side, though,
didn't play Jalen Waddle last week, by the way. Do you know how tilting that is?
Oh,
After
God.
this entire season that I did not play Jalen Waddle, I was like hovering over the freaking button in my spy lineup, and I'm like, I really want to do it. I think it's a good matchup, and then I'm like, no, I've done this all year. I'm weaning myself off. I heard the little Davis on my shoulder that's like, can't play Jalen Waddle, dude. You gotta give it up, dude. And I'm like, fuck it. No more. And then I'm watching the game, and it's like Clockwork Orange with my eyelids getting pasted back, watching Jalen Waddle score like 33 points or whatever he had. It was absurd.
I mean, at the very least, Jacob, your 11th place best ball teams did jump up to 10th place. So you do have that going for you. On the Jacksonville side of the ball, since Evan Ingram returned from his whatever injury it was, I want to say shoulder, leads the NFL in target share. Or not leads the NFL, leads the tight end position in target share. $4,800 with T. Lawrence back. Why is Trevor Lawrence playing, by the way? Unclear there, but he is playing. He is much better than one Mr. Mac Jones. I think Evan Ingram is close to one of the better plays of the slate, basically, which is, I never say kind things about Evan Ingram, but I think that's true.
Another one of the interesting plays of the slate is Brian Thomas is priced like Mac Jones is his quarterback, but Trevor Lawrence is his quarterback, so he's at 5.5K, and he's probably going to catch a lot of ownership at that price. The issue is like Brian Thomas is the kind of player where, just based on how he earns his targets, I would always rather play him as an overpriced, under-owned play than as an underpriced, over-owned play, just because he's like pretty liable to have 7 for 150 and 2 at any particular game, but he's also liable to have 3 for 35 and 0. So I'm not really sure what to do because I love Brian Thomas. I want to play Brian Thomas. I would like to play sort of into pessimism about Trevor Lawrence's shoulder, but I think the price is so egregious that it's just going to be quite owned no matter what.
You know, I think 18% seems a smidge high. I think he seems, I would put this in the category of like fine chalk. Wouldn't say bad chalk. Wouldn't say good chalk. I would say it's roughly fine. This, you could also convince me that this is the game. Like the Jaguars just getting into a bunch of crazy who cares bowls down the end of the year. Like that to me seems very plausible given all that we know.
Dude, I wish.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The more likely scenario is they just like pound the ball into the line with Tank Bigsby and throw 11 targets to Evan Ingram for 46 yards because that's what Doug Peterson wants to do.
That is Doug Ball. All right, we have got man. Please just tell me. Please tell me. This is the Justin Jefferson game. Can we get? I just want one. I'm done. I'm done being selfish. I'm done thinking that it's there. But the Arizona Cardinals with a team total of 20.5, the Minnesota Vikings with a team total of 24.5. Can I just get one, Jacob? Can I just get $8,100 Justin Jefferson breaking the slate one time?
I hope so. That'd be nice. We'll see. Probably not. He's probably going to have
probably not.
Points.
It's probably TJ Hawkinson. Probably Justin Jefferson will have 7 receptions, 102 yards. TJ Hawkinson will score once. Aaron Jones will score twice. Also, why are the Arizona Cardinals the most inconsistent team in football? It's like they're looking good. They're favored to win the division. The 49ers are going to shit. This is Kyler's year. Kyler's saying all the right things in interviews, and then they show up and they cannot generate a touchdown against the Seattle Seahawks. They are so goddamn frustrating.
They are very frustrating. The one guy I like in this game a lot, and I mean, he just had an awesome game last week, but Trey McBride has been just crushing in the target share department. I don't know if he's ever going to score a touchdown. Maybe not. But he's still been very good regardless. One of the few tight ends where you can sell yourself on the bonus pretty easily. And this matchup where Minnesota's going to be doing all sorts of crazy blitzes, I mean, there's just going to be no hope of the Marvin Harrison Jr. routes developing in time for Kyler Murray to get there. But the Trey McBride outlet routes are going to get there. I think he's pretty easily the counter to the Flores situation. I foresee, honestly, a pretty similar week to last week where he's just churning a bunch of short and intermediate area targets all day long. And with some of the looser running back pricing, if you want to spend down running back, that'd be one of the ways I would attack it.
He is the only tight end with multiple 100+ yard receiving games this season, Mr. T. McBride. I do think you could definitely do Darnold, Jefferson. You could do Darnold doubles, Darnold, Hawkinson, Jefferson. Now watch, I don't think Josh Oliver's going to play, but there was like a pretty clear delineation when Oliver was on the field versus off for Hawkinson. Not that Hawkinson is going to run any fewer routes, but like you want Hawkinson, if this makes sense, you want Hawkinson on the field in like clear running, like goal to go situations so they can do the, basically the Sam Laporta play, the fake it to Aaron Jones, bootleg, toss it to Hawkinson wide open for a touchdown. I think Darnold doubles actually seem pretty strong. Darnold, a double tight end this week with Trey McBride in the flex with Hawkinson. I think you can get away with that, but this will very likely for me be a week where I do let myself spend up on some Justin Jefferson as a treat, just as a treat and maybe financially benefit. Because one of the things I saw was that ownership on Jamar Chase looked a little bit low. And I think what we'll see Chase ending up way more owned than Jefferson, despite the matchup being way, way worse. I mean, Steelers are a bad matchup for a wide receiver. Yeah. All right. That's all that I got there. Finally, not finally, just we do get to the segment that the viewers love. The Indianapolis Colts 22.5-point team total against our other large adult son, Drake May, 20-point team total for the New England Patriots. Anthony Richardson, Stone Chalk last week.
It's like Sanderson ball right here.
Yeah. 13 points without a touchdown last week, which I thought was,
wow,
pretty indicative of.
Thanks,
should have had like 3.
Yeah, Drew Ogletree, you're on the list, buddy. I would just like to not have to spend like every second Monday having to do the. Actually, Anthony Richardson played better than the stat sheet. If you look at all of the drops,
well, he really did last week though. Like, he really did.
Absolutely did. It's always true. It's just I just like would like our receivers to catch the football, and I'd like them to stop committing illegal formation penalties so that I don't have to do this bullshit every Monday morning.
Well, he smoked against the Jets. He was awesome against the Jets.
That was awesome. Yeah. This game should be very fun. It's obviously a far cry from the Colts Patriots games of my youth, but this will still nonetheless be very fun to watch these two young gunslingers go back and forth. I would be pretty excited to play Drake May, I think, in DFS this week. I don't know who in the world you stack him with. I suppose Hunter Henry is probably the best option, just because he fills tight end.
No, but I really mean it. It's Booty, dude. Booty is the one who's on the field, and Booty is the one who runs the deep routes. So if someone is converting a Drake May moon ball, it's Kayshon Booty. And ever since that week where everyone lost their minds and made him stone chalk, Crane actually made this point to me, which is that his ADOT, yards per route run, targets per route run, all that stuff with Jacoby Brissett that shows up in his cumulative numbers. Basically, Kayshon Booty does not exist in the route tree that Jacoby Brissett wants to throw. So his season-long numbers are a bit hidden. Not that Kayshon Booty is this incredible target earning, phenomenon. That's not true. But if you're looking for the volatile profile to do with Drake May, it's definitely Mr. Booty, and this is the matchup to do it in.
So I'm actually talking myself into this more and more as we go, because people are going to want to play some of these cheaper running backs, assuming that Breece Hall misses especially. And I would like to not do that, just because I think that they're both pretty fragile bets, and I think they're going to require a lot of ownership. So I want to flip. And one of the easiest ways to save the salary is you play Drake May, Kayshon Booty. You could play 3 7K running backs without much of an issue, because you've saved so much of your
much salary.
And then the other guy I really want to play is I want to play AD Mitchell quite badly. I think that he is like possibly the most talented wide receiver on this team, even if he's a little bit of a bonehead. But he's been playing much better in recent weeks. My biggest fear is that Shane Steichen is going to just be a total dolt and be like, well, we lost our slot wide receiver and Josh Downs, and A.D. Mitchell plays best on the outside, so we have to play Ashton Doolin for 60% of the routes.
No,
I think
we've
they're gonna
literally
figure
already
out ways.
seen. We've already
Well,
seen
we
this
didn't see it
exact
as,
permutation.
but we didn't see it as good as we wanted to. Like A.D. Mitchell was not running the type of route rates that we wanted. He was running like half the routes and splitting.
No. In week 1 and week 2, he was above 75% routes, wasn't he?
I do not think that is true.
I can fact check that. Because I remember looking at it. I remember looking at it the other week. I can pull. I'll pull the data up here over on Fantasy Life. I'm pretty certain that he did. A.D. Mitchell in weeks 1 and weeks 2 ran 75% and 68% of the routes, 28% targets per route run, 16% targets per route run, with the target share in week 1 of 28%. So yes, there will be more Doolin than we want. Probably more 12 personnel type stuff than we want. But the price is, the price is definitely right. I would say, basically, like this is setting up to be quite a good A.D. Mitchell spot where there's a plethora of value that doesn't make him, the oasis in the desert. Like I think we end up seeing, let's call it 9.5% to 14.7% ownership on A.D. Mitchell in the
I don't
contest.
even think we see that. I doubt we even see that.
So
I want to
he's
play
a good
that
play.
very, very badly.
Yeah,
I also,
he's a good play.
I mean, and I'll also point out, like Michael Pittman looked infinitely healthier last week than he's looked all
Yes, he
season.
did.
I think he's actually back to being Michael Pittman, which is, not as good as I think a lot of people think he is, but certainly way better than he was for most of the season. He's totally fine. But yeah, I would be very excited to play A.D. Mitchell this week. And I mean, again, if you wanted to ever somehow play both of those, all Booty and Mitchell, I don't know that you have enough raw points out of that, but I think both of them have like legitimate upside despite being total dart throws, just because of the route tree that they run. And I think Mitchell legitimately has huge upside. I think he's going to be a star one day in the NFL. So that would certainly be the guy. And I suspect that Christian Gonzalez is going to be playing on Michael Pittman Jr. for the majority of this game. So I think that if you want to take shots on the Colts passing game, the way to do that would be stay away from Gonzo. And I think you can do that probably with A.D. Mitchell and with Alec Pierce if you wanted to as well. Pretty into that scenario.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly. All right, let us move on now to the Seattle Seahawks traveling to play at the New York Football Jets. I'll tell you right now.
Getting real sick of playing Ken Walker in DFS.
Well, I'll tell you that this week you are going to be saved from doing such a thing. And do you know why? Because Mr. Breece Hall, after the bye week, is listed as questionable due to a knee injury that he sustained late against the Colts, played through it, acted up on him afterward. Big thing for me.
I don't want to play on the Jets anymore. Knee injury.
Yeah. Well, who can blame him? How about we let the youngest player in the NFL, Braylon Allen, wash over our lineups? Because that is exactly what I'll be doing at $5,000.
You'll be playing 100% exposure, won't you?
I will. I'll be going into my lineup optimizer of choice. I will be pressing that cute little lock button next to Braylon Allen's name, and I will be clicking optimize, run, whatever. I don't care about the matchup. I don't care about how good the Seahawks were last week against James Conner. There's not a third running back who will play. They're not tossing in Isaiah Davis to play passing downs or whatever. Braylon Allen's been good on passing downs in his limited NFL career. Braylon Allen is what as the kids might say, a giga jam in the event that Breece Hall does not play.
So, I mean, he's obviously going to be a great play, and he's going to project excellently. But I don't know. People have got really excited about Braylon Allen early in the season. His overall analytics profile in the season is bad. Like his advanced aren't good.
He just hasn't played very much,
which is fair. I'm not saying that he is bad or that he won't succeed. The Jets suck. Breece Hall has been disappointing in over half of his games. And I suspect that the market sentiment is going to be so frothy because people love Braylon Allen. They're excited to play Braylon Allen.
As they should, me included.
I just think his ownership is going to get like very out of control for a running back where the path to succeeding is obvious and like he's a great redraft start and all that stuff. But the path to failure is like the Jets hate their lives. They come out and get absolutely shithoused 38-3, and Braylon Allen has 7 points. And it's like very easy to see that outcome. And so I'm going to probably not participate if we have to play like, you know, a 45% owned Braylon Allen in the SPY or something like that, which is kind of what I'm expecting.
It won't be like that because it'll split some with Edwards. You've got Chase Brown coming in at like so owned, like as like the clear
like
best player.
Maybe in the millie it'll split some with Gus Edwards. The fucking slappies that are going to be playing the SPY,
it's so true,
with me and you are not clicking Gus Edwards over Braylon Allen. They're not. They're not going to do that.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Know the contest that you're playing in. On the other side, Geno doubles, Geno singles, Metcalf, JSN. I mean, getting guys in against the New York Football Jets, a team that has completely given up, a team that has, like, Aaron Rodgers is going on McAfee and saying, yeah, we got a league problem, but I don't know if I want to play football next year. I mean, how could you, like, I certainly do not blame Mr. Hall for not wanting to show up to work. I mean, would you want to show up to work? I don't think so.
Look like a great workplace environment. The last thing I will be playing Ken Walker in a lot of lineups. So now I've said this about 3 different running backs. So maybe I just play Bijan, Walker, and Chase Brown in all my lineups. But like, to me, this feels like, just going on pure gut, this feels like all the Jets got to spend some time outside of the workplace over the bye week. It made them realize just how bad their work is. And they are just going to be like depressed, sad, and dead and disinterested. And I could see the Seattle Seahawks just absolutely annihilating them,
smoking
in this game.
them. Yeah.
Which would be great for Ken Walker.
The leverage play is Walker. The leverage play is most certainly Walker. Yeah.
Right. If you want to leverage off the Allen stuff. So that is probably where I'm leaning at the moment. I will also point out this is a Geno Smith revenge game.
Holy shit, this is a Geno Smith revenge game. Yeah, real revenge too. The Jets did him wrong. Yeah. The Jets like actually did him wrong. Yeah, that is a phenomenally accurate point from Jacob. Now, am I tempered at all by these accurate points? No, dude. I'm going Braylon Allen. The smarter plays in this game are Walker and Smith and Jigba, whose usage is just like real now. He's getting used like a real wide receiver in games that Metcalf is playing. Lockett trending towards 0. Noah Fant will probably be back in this game. I don't think that will impact JSN to any meaningful degree. Let's move on now to the Tennessee Titans against the Washington Commanders. 19.5 point team total for the Titans. 25 point team total for the Washington Commanders. Big questions here. What combination of running backs will be active? So Eckler is for sure not going to play here. He suffered like a pretty scary concussion.
Yeah.
The larger question is, will our guy Brian Robinson Jr. be active? And if he is,
he already practiced on Wednesday.
So I read a quote from him yesterday saying, like, dude, the ankle injury really sucked, but it feels better than I thought it was going to be. The question you have to ask yourself is this Brian Robinson Jr. full, or is this Brian Robinson Jr. playing in a somewhat limited capacity with McNichols coming in and playing goal line stuff are they going to sign Chris Rodriguez back to the active roster to maybe take away some of that goal line stuff? Jaden Daniels, let's be clear. He played like shit against the Cowboys for 2 quarters. He was awful for 2 quarters. Wasn't running, was inaccurate. Really kind of bailed out by the 86-yard Terry McLaurin touchdown. I'm not saying that he stinks. Like, obviously that is not at all the case, but I am a smidgen concerned about Jaden Daniels as the highest projected quarterback in any given slate. And since week 6, Calvin Ridley leads the NFL in receiving yards.
So do we think, this is what I'm curious about, like the Washington defense, they were terrible last year. They started out terrible this year. And then they've magically kind of got pretty good. But they've also played mostly a lot of very bad teams while looking pretty good. Do we think this is just like Dan Quinn's a good defensive coach? It took a while to install his system, and now they're pretty good. Or do we think they're still bad and they've just been kind of taking advantage of a lot of soft matchups? Because I mean, I guess they didn't do that well against Dallas, but like should we be looking at Washington as a team to target? Because I'm like, should I be tempted to play into this Will Levis, Calvin Ridley resurgence?
I mean, I think probably the Commanders defense is all right. They're not like the steel curtain or whatever, but no. I mean, Calvin Ridley, like, there's just really no way around it. The dude has been smashing and has like crazy good volume, and he's 5,700. DraftKings never really gives. I mean, you know what he is? He's like the Cortland Sutton play. It's like, yeah, you're not like that excited about it, but the volume is just too good. I mean, there's definitely, I don't even know, are the Broncos on this slate? No, they play on Monday. I just don't, like, I'm not buying into the Levis thing, but he kind of looks the part, you know, like the good Levis plays, he does look the part. And then the bad Levis plays, he looks positively Bortlesy. And then if Tajay Spears does not play, you want to talk about a guy who's going to get mega squeezed from all the value. It's going to be Mr. Pollard at 6,300 with, and I believe Spears is not going to play. Pollard broke the slate. Was it last week or the week before? I think it was last week, but yeah, I mean, Pollard, dude, if Pollard was on the Bengals, would he be the running back one? And like, would he be having, he would have an advance rate like Henry and Barkley. I mean, he is so good, man. It's unbelievable.
I will note that Spears did get in a limited practice yesterday. So I think he's probably on track to play this week, but we'll see with concussion protocol stuff. It does, like, as much as Spears has not been useful at all himself, it does actually make a very big difference for Pollard.
Huge.
Because, like Spears, if he's active, we've seen it now. Like, he will play 35 to 40% of the snaps, and if he's not active, then Pollard will play 97% of the snaps. So it is legitimately pretty big for him. If we got Spears out, especially with some of the other guys pulling ownership away, it would be very tempting to play Pollard. But if Spears does play, it's like, am I really going to spend the extra $100 to play Pollard instead of Chase Brown? Maybe that's the Giga Brain move, but it's not the Jacob Brain move. I'll be playing Chase Brown.
Yeah, 100%. McLaurin, I mean, what, $7,100 McLaurin? Sure, whatever. Do you think he will get an 86-yard touchdown completely gifted to him by the defense? If so,
probably
good
not.
play. If not, Zach Ertz is a much better play. Noah Brown leads this team in targets over the last 5 weeks of the season. That is your daily and or weekly dose of inconvenient truth. Starting the afternoon block, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Mike Evans back against the Carolina Panthers. Jonathan Brooks has returned. Here's an example of early ownership and projections being wrong. Chuba Hubbard is not getting played at all. Now, Bucky, God, just adding to the running back plays. I mean, how do you, I guess maybe Gus Edwards won't get owned because you could just play frickin' Bucky Irving, who's like the most efficient running back in the NFC right now, other than Saquon Barkley for 5,800, and he's like a jam. And in fact, he's such a jam that the Buccaneers passing game will probably be leverage. Like Baker, Evans, Cotton is like actual leverage. And Bryce Young played well last week. Like Bryce Young played well in a way that I think is like actually repeatable, if that makes sense. I think he can do that performance again in other difficult matchups.
Yeah, I've seen all that I need to see so far to find a way to not play Braylon Allen, despite him being a good play. Although maybe if everybody see that, maybe it just won't be as owned as I think. Because like
maybe everything will just be flat.
I want to take my King DDD hammer and mega smash Bucky Irving at 5.8K. He's like my favorite player to watch in the NFL now. He's like my new, like it's like the the meme of like Tony Pollard, Devon Achane over here, and I'm doing the watching the Bucky Irving.
You know what tricks me out though is that 7 and 1 look very similar in the Buccaneers logo font. So sometimes I think
but how they play the position does not look similar. So as soon as you start seeing them, it's just like, oh, did they just like ram into their left guard? Oh, that's number one. Like, oh, did they just deke out 8 different dudes like in the middle of the field and cut back from one sideline to the opposite sideline? Like, it's looking a lot more like a 7. Love him. And then the other guy that I think is going to be pretty interesting is just firing up. I did this last week in the spy lineup, and man, was it ever tilting, because the Baker to Bucky receiving touchdowns that weren't receiving touchdowns that went down at the 1. There were 2 of them, and I had Baker, Bucky, Evans in the spy, and it was incredibly tilting. And then Sean Tucker punches them in, of course, both times. I think I might go back to the Baker, Mike Evans thing, because if you buy that Bryce Young can keep pace a little bit, then Mike Evans has an absolutely nuclear ceiling. Where like I've been kind of frothing to attack this spot in DFS ever since him and Chris Godwin both got hurt, where it felt like at some point Evans is going to come back and maybe be a little bit like people might not respect him fully off the injury, but then there's going to be no Godwin and Evans just going to have this chance to be like wide receiver 1 overall in some of these massive spots. I think we're going to get one of these blow up games at some point. They just need to get pushed.
Yes. No, that is certainly true. And this version of the Panthers team, why can this version of the Panthers team not push them? You know, it's like, I know it's like, oh, the Chiefs stink. It's like, no, dude, like Bryce Young played better against them than like Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson did. Like, he was awesome. That is not true, but it's directionally accurate. That was the first time I've ever watched Bryce Young play and been like, there might be like, maybe they could talk themselves into running with him as the quarterback next year, just to see what happens. Leggett would be the bring back here if I did one, not David Moore, but you know, what can you do? All right, here.
I'm playing David Moore.
David Moore had 10 targets last week, which is a sentence that is not. I don't think that's ever been said before. David Moore might not have ever gotten 10 targets, even in
I'm
college.
doing the Mike Tomlin. We do not care. Dude, David Moore's 10 target games. I would rather play Adam Thielen than David Moore.
All right, we have got the Los Angeles Rams playing against the New Orleans Saints. So we have one of the most concentrated offenses in. Yeah, well, I mean, certainly it could certainly be a Taysom slate, but I would like to point you to the fact that people are basically entirely over the Kyren Williams thing. They'll be very over him this week. They'll be much more interested in Kamara. They'll be much more interested in Puka and in Kupp. This ownership that you're seeing on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, is a complete lie. Not even close. He will not even be 9% owned.
Take the 1 off of that. It's going to be 7.
Yeah. His role, my friend, has not changed at all. Still the same role. Really, really the same role that it's always been. I might go so far as to gold star play Kyren. I don't think I will, because the position is so full of guys. Taysom, obviously, an incredibly good play here. Puka, an incredibly good play here. What do you make of Rams Saints?
Yeah, the Kyren stuff. I mean, as a resident Kyren hater, I'm not like particularly shocked that his results are typically disappointing, because I think he's kind of bad.
He's bad.
But it doesn't matter. He has this ridiculous role, and Sean McVay thinks he's good, and that's what matters. It's not what I think about him. So he gets a gorgeous matchup against the New Orleans Saints that have been trounced by running backs repeatedly throughout this year. Javonte Williams put up 26 points against the New Orleans Saints, and
my God, do you remember
negative
that?
rushing yards last week against the Las Vegas Raiders, so he's not that good. I think Kyren Williams can succeed. So we'll see what his Sunday projected ownership is. If it's under 10, I understand that I've already committed myself to playing 100% of 4 different running backs, and you can only play 3 running backs. But I would like to add Kyren Williams as my 5th running back in these lineups to consider here. And on the other side, like, yeah, I mean, I think both Puka and Cooper Kupp are totally fine. They're going to be played a lot. I think I would rather play it through Kyren based on the matchup, based on the ownership. And then, there's nothing that can get me off of playing Taysom Hill right now. His role is unreal. I don't understand what this 2% projected ownership is all about. He's like has a better receiving role than Travis Kelce, and they give him carries.
Yeah. No, I mean,
they asked the coach about him, and it was like, what do you think of Taysom Hill's role? And it's like, we need it to be even bigger. Like, it was like, we finally figured out like how much to use Taysom Hill, and it's constantly. Do you think he's just the best hang ever? How is it that like 4 different New Orleans Saints coaches have come in, all these different play callers, and every single one of them immediately comes to the conclusion like we have to build the whole thing out of this 34-year-old utility man?
Think about it. Think about what football guys value, and think about what Taysom Hill represents. Taysom Hill will do anything for the team, bro. He has played punt gunner in games where he has started at quarterback. Taysom Hill is like, you know that tweet that goes viral about Shohei Ohtani, the Tungsten Armo Doyle tweet? He's Tungsten Armo Doyle. He's like the first player since, I don't know. I was trying to think of a good 1940s NFL player, and I'm not coming up with any of the names right now. You know, first guy since Ed Armstrong to record 3 tackles, block a punt, throw a passing touchdown, and score a rushing touchdown in a game since Ed Armstrong in 1933. Like, coaches are just always going to love a guy like that. The same way, honestly, that me as like just a fan of football, like I don't like Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill and I have nothing in common. Like I would be bored to death having a conversation with Taysom Hill probably. But also I am predisposed to Taysom because I remember Taysom as a college football DFS option when he threw for 20 touchdowns and ran for 15 touchdowns in 2013. It was like this unbelievable season. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, now that his price has crept up a little bit, he's not going to get played this week. He really will not. He will not be a popular option this week, which seems insane.
Yeah, I don't really care about his price. I mean, I care about his price tag, but like his ceiling is like 40 points, so it's hard to care that much about his price tag. I'm into it.
True. Yeah. Puka or Kupp?
Puka. I will always pick Puka over Kupp.
Yeah. Do you know that Cooper Kupp leads the National Football League in expected points amongst wide receivers in 0.5 PPR?
Every week, the Cooper Kupp experience is like he has whatever targets he has the first half. He has 3.8 yards per target on those targets. Everybody tweets out how Puka is dunking all over him. And then he annoyingly scores
a
touchdown in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
Yep.
Every single week, this is what occurs with Cooper Kupp. It's like I think he's finally dead, and then he scores this stupid touchdown when the game's already decided. I really hate it. But yeah, no, I don't care. I just like will biasly, hatingly think that he's washed and sucks, and I'm not going to play him ever.
I think you could actually do doubles here. You could do Stafford doubles here. I think you could get away with it. And I
salary savings elsewhere to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I almost never do the Stafford doubles thing. Okay. Final game. Huge.
You can do it because like they don't throw to anybody else. Like if Stafford has 3, 20, and 4, then Kupp and Puka have 280 and 3 at least.
Yes. Yeah. All right, man. This is a huge game in the context of playoff standings, huge game in terms of like a measuring stick of where these teams are at. The Philadelphia Eagles with a team total of 23.75. The Ravens with a team total of 26.5. Lamar Jackson is 8,000 unowned. Jalen Hurts, 7,700 unowned. Barkley, I mean, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do with this game? Is this a better real life game than a fantasy game?
I don't know about that. I would say that I mean my flag plan's going to come from this game for sure. Or it's gold star play, whatever we do. I mean the Ravens secondary is still very bad. The only reason that they weren't that bad on Monday night is because Quentin Johnston couldn't catch a cold. I'm very excited to be playing this game.
By the way, I was solo shipping Showdown in that game.
Until the Gus touchdown?
No, to the very last. I mean, I fell asleep. Someone told me the next day that if QJ had caught one of those passes at the end, then I would have won. So shout out to QJ.
God.
Not on my nice list this year.
You played QJ?
I mean, I do whatever the computer says for
Kind of love
Showdown.
you.
Yeah.
Fair. That's
Uh,
tough. That's tough.
yeah.
He would
I
have
mean,
scored on the. He would. I think he might have scored on that crosser. Like I think it would have been. It was basically the exact TCU against Michigan in the Rose Bowl play, where like there was nobody out there and he just stone dropped it.
are people woke to the fact that Mark Andrews is just going to score 10 touchdowns this year? That he basically has become sort of Gary Barnidge-esque.
Yeah, it's a great bit that like Mark Andrews is all of the other reasons that we used to love Mark Andrews, like the high ADOT, the seam routes, the route share, all that stuff is gone. And he's now just resorted to being like Hunter Henry. It's like he's just like, okay, I'm a red zone guy now. 3.9 seems great. The other thing is Charlie Kohler, whatever his face is,
broke his arm.
He broke his arm, and that's going to actually matter because he plays a lot of snaps for them. And he doesn't get necessarily a lot of routes, but now Andrews and Likely are the only tight ends that are going to be getting snaps. So when they're in like these crazy 22 personnel running sets and all that stuff, like Mark Andrews is going to be out there. When they do play action off of that, Mark Andrews is going to be out there. I think that helps his touchdown equity. It helps some of his target share probably just a little bit, his route share just a little bit. Every bit helps. So yeah, Mark Andrews, very interesting. And then do we expect Devonta Smith to play in this game? I expect Devonta Smith not to play in this game, I think.
Oh, I guess I hadn't thought about it, really. I just assumed he would. I've been setting my seasonal lineups like he would play. But yeah, if he doesn't, I guess that really firmly brings Goddard into the conversation. I mean, I think AJ Brown is in the conversation either way. The question you really have to ask yourselves is, I mean, what are we doing with what are we doing with Barkley? What are we Henry? I think this is not the game for him. Famous last words. Barkley.
I'm not going to play Barkley because there's so many other running backs that I can play, and because I'm dying to play AJ Brown against the secondary. But obviously, he's a great play. I mean, he's a great play every single week.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think that is very, very cut and dry. Do we have anything else on this game? I don't really
maybe I'll just set like a min one Brown or Barkley, and in like the one lineup I don't play AJ Brown, I'll play Saquon Barkley.
Sure, why not? All right, let's build a lineup. We have a true plethora of options, and I will, as always, give you the first pick.
All right. I'm going to play the grown-ass man, A.J. Brown, against the secondary that gives up more explosive passing plays to anybody. The Eagles are probably going to get pushed in this game. I think that the Ravens actually have a chance to put up points on this improved defense. I think they're going to actually have to pass. I think A.J. Brown could have a completely nuclear blow-up spot in this one against the Ravens.
All right, there we go. We have A.J. Brown. I will take his Canadian last name brother. I'm just gonna go ahead and toss
Brown squad.
Toss Chase Brown in there.
All right, love it. Okay. I will go ahead and click Marquise Bucky Irving of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. I think that I think there are so many guys who are like pretty good plays, but not like all-time points per dollar plays. The Bucky might not end up being like crazy owned.
I agree.
We do need to try and save a little bit of money at wide receiver. Not that there are not options there. You know what? I'm gonna take our boy. This is a nice themed lineup. I'm gonna take A.D. Mitchell. I think that A.D. Mitchell totally falls through the cracks here. Can't play a wide receiver with Anthony Richardson. He doesn't complete enough passes.
So excited to see A.D. Mitchell in our lineups. All right, what are we at here salary wise?
5,160 left. Yeah, we're doing all right.
All right. Okay. I'm going to select Mr. Bijan Robinson.
All right. He is $7,300. That feels like a steal. Honestly, that feels like a deal. I'm going to get defense out of the way. I'm going to select the There are actually quite a few options. Oh, the Titans for sure. I'm going to take the Titans against Daniels, not because Daniels is bad or anything like that, but because playing this version, he's a little bit less apt to scramble, going to give us some sacks. And the Titans defense is one of those rare defenses that are cheap and get put in bad positions by their quarterback, but they actually do have talented players. So you can kind of always talk yourselves into them. That will save us a little bit of salary. That gives us 5,300 left. You know what? I'm just going to take Anthony Richardson at quarterback as well. And then we'll fill out our wide receiver and our tight end.
Okay. I will. Well, let's play like this Colts game becomes a little bit fun then. I will select Mr. Hunter Henry.
All right. That should put us in a good range. $4,200 Hunter Henry. That is $6,400 wide receiver. That's actually going to be a great range. There's going to be a bunch of guys to choose from there. So we've got Ladd. We have got, you could get to Garrett Wilson. You could get to Pickens. So this will be a range. I'm just looking at this. This is going to be a range lots of people are going to be picking from, basically.
Yeah.
Let's go Zay Flowers. Let's go Zay Flowers. A little bring back there with our boy AJ Brown, Anthony Richardson, Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, AJ Brown, AD Mitchell, Zay Flowers, Hunter Henry, and Bijan Robinson. Jacob, it is time for us to do what people love. I don't actually know if they love it, but they should. Let's do our gold star plays, and we will get out of here. I will let you do your gold star play first.
Gold star play is Arthur Juan Brown this week. A lot of ways to go spend up at the wide receiver position. Some people's favorite will be playing the cheap running backs. My favorite is probably going to be playing one of Butte or AD Mitchell in one of the other wide receiver slots. Saquon Barkley has been crushing all of our worlds this year. I think for 1 week, we get a reprieve from Saquon Barkley being the dominant Eagle in this battle of the birds against the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens give up more explosive passing plays than any secondary in the NFL. The Eagles, whenever they do want to pass, they very frequently pass to AJ Brown. They do it very efficiently. They have just become such a run-heavy offense based on the success of Barkley, based on the success of their defense. I think this Baltimore Ravens offense can score on anybody in any which way. So I think the Eagles are going to have to chase points in this spot. I think that's going to lead to a pretty massive game for AJ Brown. Hopefully, I'm envisioning the Jamar Chase Thursday night performance. I'm envisioning 40, 50 points of AJ Brown's vintage ceiling games. That we see one of those this week.
All right, I'm gonna do two. I'm gonna do one Mr. Justin Jefferson, whose peripherals are just the same as they always are. His separation, his routes, all that stuff. And I think I was thinking about this morning. You could actually make an argument that Darnold has been way better than even Darnold's biggest fans would have had any reason to believe. The turnovers have not really been a problem. Sacks have not really been a problem. He was weirdly bad in that Jaguars game and then in the second half of the Jets game after he got injured. But other than that, he's actually been phenomenal. We obviously saw at the beginning of the season, the first month of the season, Jefferson stormed out the gate, scored a touchdown every game, 97-yard touchdown, all that stuff. People are just over it, man. It's just like there's not really a data-based reason to be off of Justin Jefferson. He was bad last week, sure. He was bad last week. But there's not a database reason to think he stinks or anything. It's kind of one of these, it's just a natural buy low window being created by the universe. So Justin Jefferson is going to be the flag plant there. Nice. And if this ownership on Taysom Hill holds, where he's going to be less than 5%, you bet your bottom dollar that I will be jamming in Taysom Hill in my lineups, both in tight end and in flex. Folks, we hope you had a phenomenal Thanksgiving. Jacob is going to be in the office all day. I'm going to be making pecan pies, and hopefully you guys are going to be listening to this before the Black Friday game, hopefully not tilting my face off at another Kansas City Chiefs game. Hope you guys had a great holiday. Make sure that you are subscribed to Thinking About Thinking. You get the Hitchhiker's Guide, the streamer running back plays. Jacob just updated his dynasty rankings last week as well. And I will be back with all of you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys are having a great holiday. Bye. It's Short King summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich,
football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense looks constipated. It's